How's it going, everybody? It's the Joning Level Fox, and it's my channel where I talk about anime, video games, cartoons, most notably Sonic and Ninja Turtles. And today, I'm here to talk about some Monster Girls. Now, you're probably wondering if you read the title of the video. Either you know what I'm going to talk about, you probably don't know what I'm going to talk about, or you're probably going to be like, "Oh God, why is he talking about this?" But I want to talk about it. So basically, I'm going to be reviewing or talking about my thoughts on this light novel series that I've been reading called Monster Girl Doctor and stuff, because felt like it's kind of like the end of the year and stuff, and I was really invested into it. I've pretty much took down like a lot of notes about it, so I wanted to kind of share some of that with you guys and stuff and give you my thoughts. Maybe this can serve as like a recommendation and stuff. There's an anime of it that's only like 12 episodes, but it's got like 11 novels and stuff like that. So yeah. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna get right into it. Now, if my voice sounds any different compared to my normal videos, that's most likely because I'm recording off my phone, because I forgot to bring my mic, because I traveled out of state, so I forgot my mic at home. So I'll just record off my phone and see how that turns out. But if this is awkward for you guys, please just bear with me. But yeah. Alright, so starting off with Monster Girl Doctor Zero. So the book was released between volumes 7 and 8, if I'm not mistaken, but is the earliest placement of Dr. Glenn and Safi. Set during their high school days, where Glenn is 14 and Safi is 16, the story is about Glenn, Safi, and their classmate Lime opening up a small clinic to help other students. The characters introduced in the story is Survey, if I'm pronouncing these names right. Yeah, but I can't check myself. Sivre, a Seabrus girl, Bellamere, a magic doll girl, Dr. Draconia, a Sobak girl, and Fuso, a silkworm god. These are the patients Glenn examines or is somehow involved in. Unfortunately, Glenn receives a near-death head injury and forgot most of his time helping these patients. Even his memories of Lime, who he saved his life, are erased. So, anyways, the author, Yoshino Uraguchi, wrote this because it had a few outliers with volumes 4, since Glenn mentioned that he wished he socialized more in high school, like Lime, who became his nurse later on. Alright, so this book was also the first Monster Girl Doctor novel that I've actually read, even though I kind of watched the anime first. And this is also the first book that kind of inspired my love for light novels with a good harem story, especially the art, which is what I look forward to in reading light novels just in general. Enough visually pleasing shots of characters and all the characters that are relevant to the story, especially novel-only characters, Like, they don't really, like, show what the novel-only characters look like in most, like, novels and stuff. You have to, like, either guess or really just put together some stuff with the description, that kind of thing. But, I like that to be featured more and depicted. And here, Glenn is at his youngest, not counting flashbacks where he wears shorts, a button-up shirt, tie, and a lab coat. Safi isn't wearing her nurse outfit yet and wears a uniform, and her hair is kind of cut short to like her shoulders, whereas it's to her waist later on when she's older. Volume 1, the anime adapted the first novel in its first 4 episodes set during the 3 years after the Volume 0. Glenn is 17 and Safi is 19 years old, and they own their own clinic in Limworm, this city full of monsters and stuff, supported by their mentor Dr. Cthulhu in their central hospital. Some of my favorite characters, Salaya, Lulala, Kunai, and Illy, are introduced here. The story starts off with Glenn and Safi's mundane life, but they get involved in a harpy trafficking ring, trying to help Kunai and Scotty save the victims. This volume is pretty self-contained, so if you want to not only just jump in, if you don't really need any prior knowledge of the characters or appearances, since this is the first volume, of course, this will pretty much show you. There's also a lot of action, and it's probably has the most until maybe volume 5. So Safi's assassin skills, Salaya's and her bodyguards, Scotty and Kunai, fight off a lot of the mercenaries and stuff and showcase what they can really do. Volume 2. Taking place not long after the first volume, the anime adapts episodes 5 through 8. Dr. Glenn and Safi, along with Salaya and her assistants, travel to the mountains to perform some checkups on the harpies that reside there, but some drama surfaces when one of the harpies that they rescued, Illy, is resenting Dr. Glenn. One of Safi's friends, Aranya, is starting trouble for everyone, and Agigas is causing earthquakes. This volume introduces Diane Nephilim, one of the last remaining Gigases, and Aranya, Tara Arakanite, if I'm saying that right. But yeah, Dr. Glenn's third love interest, while the first and second are Safi and Salaya. Illy goes through some good character development in this volume, going from an orphan growing up on the slums of Lindworm to being trafficked by mercenaries to becoming an apprentice of Salaya. Illy learns of her lineage to phoenixes as her new wings grow in, more colorful than before, warming up to Dr. Glenn even. She was just embarrassed before because she was too embarrassed to face him since he had helped her with complications that she had laying an egg while she was captured. And not to mention Kay and Lorna's story in their dedication to their princess, Salaya. Also, the designs for Diane's clothes and her body appearing sloth-like, and Aranya's hair, arms, multiple eyes, and kimono are pretty well done as well. Like, she really does look spider-like even without the body. The anime adapts Volume 3 in its last 4 episodes, 9 through 12, centered around Scotty's heart surgery. In my opinion, I think it's probably the longest out of the series, as far as like reading it and stuff. And I can recall certain scenes are kind of cut for time restraint, and the order of sequences is kind of assorted differently for both the anime and novel. Like the opening where Glenn helps Safi with her sore tongue, but in the anime it's set after they save Scotty. Also, Glenn convincing Scotty to take the surgery happens in the right order in the anime, whereas in the novel, Glenn reminisces on that moment before the surgery. Safi and Aranya getting trapped in the webbing and Dr. Cthulhu recovering her octopus pot, while naked, are all cut from the anime. So, the story in Scotty Dragonfeld, the founder of Lindworm, has a parasite feeding on her heart before the Volume 1, and refuses treatment to save her life, believing that her time has come. Dr. Glenn promises his mentor, Dr. Cthulhu, that he would convince her, her friend, to keep living and find a way to operate on her dragon-like body since it's so durable. This novel is also the first introduction to Dr. Cthulhu outside of just mentions and Meme Redon, who had cameoed in the first episode. Also, this is the first time that we see Scotty without her veil, and she no longer uses kunai as a speaker. The designs are top tier as always thanks to Zeton, the illustrator of the series. Much like Aranya, Cthulhu's hair resembles an octopus, and her blouse and glasses and her pencil skirt makes her look very sophisticated. Scotty's design is very cute as well as a 1,000-year-old lolly dragon girl. She also has short blue hair, large golden horns, a tail, small dragon wings. Meme, a Cyclops girl, is also pretty cute and curvy too, and there's a lot of good character moments in development in this volume, being the most essential in the series. Volume 4. After Doctors Glenn, Safi, and Cthulhu successfully remove the parasitic fake heart, they discover it's a living being posing as other people, and they have to find it before it potentially harms someone else. This is the first story that takes place outside of the anime as well. The volume focuses on multiple characters like Safi and one of her fairies. Glenn's stay in the hospital after passing out from exhaustion and tries to learn more of the Shoggoth, the creature that's going around posing as other people. Salaya and Scotty, and especially Lulala, who becomes friends with the Shoggoth in question. This is Lime's first appearance. However, we don't see her design unless you reference Monster Girl Doctor Zero. And of course, the Shoggoth becomes a monster girl by assuming the form of a former graveyard manager, Molly Vantes, becoming the second generation Molly Vantes. She acts a bit robotic, but has the appearance of a nun with purple skin and gel-like proportions and large unblinking eyes. Volume 5. Lindworm is hit with an epidemic where citizens are falling asleep and are unable to wake up, and while the disease isn't fatal, it could set Lindworm's capital back if nobody's working. Dr. Glenn has his problems dealing with this since Safi falls victim to this disease, and the only help he has is Aranya, city council member Aluna, Glenn's sister Cyox, and the second generation Molly Vantes. Glenn's sister, who just moved in to town, has a disease of her own as well that Glenn has to figure out. This volume has some pretty lewd moments and some wild moments here and there. I'll just give you a little warning now, which I'm not going to go into any more further detail than that. It also serves as a sequel to Volume 1 and gives an actual antagonist to this in the Harpy trafficking ring. Glenn accomplishes an impressive feat by solving the cure to the epidemic with some thanks to Safi's notes. He pretty much took half her notes and stuff that she had taken down before she fell victim and was able to finish the rest of it and test it on himself to make sure that it actually works. But anyways, he bonds a little bit with Arania standing in for Safi, and he bonds with his sister in this volume as well. I wish they kind of showed more images of Glenn's sister Cyox, who is revealed later to be an Oni girl due to her and Glenn's ancestors. But the images of her are a bit obscure in this volume, except for the third one of her in well, yeah, like I said, in this volume. Aluna, who is a Lurene, it's basically some type of plant girl, is pretty sexy though, and Cyox is pretty cute looking, like a female warrior version of Glenn with a ponytail, almost kind of like a Sword Art Online character, pretty much. But those are the two new characters that are introduced in this story. Volume 6. Taking place 3 months after the previous volume, a Lamia from Safi's family of assassins poisons the waters of Limworm, fearing that this would trace back to her and affect Glenn's reputation as a doctor. Safi leaves the clinic, leaving Glenn depressed. But thanks to Scotty and Glenn's older brother, he snaps back out of his lapse after dealing with his poison, or dealing with the poison, which didn't initially kill anyone. He pursues Safi to finally propose to her. And here, there's not too many lewd moments, and I think the story makes this one of my favorite volumes out of this series. And if I'm going to be honest, it's kind of a rehash of Volume 5, but it serves as an end of an arc. Not too many characters are introduced except Soen, Glenn, and Cyox's older brother. Soen's fiance Saki being mentioned, and Lulala's mom, who I wish kind of appeared with a design or some kind of like image or something, but yeah. Also, I forgot to mention when Safi had left the marriage contracts for Glenn with Salaya and Arania's signatures before she kind of decided to return. They're also legally engaged to him since a recent law just passed about polygamy being legalized because of certain monster species and stuff like that. So, pretty much meaning since Glenn chose to marry Safi, that doesn't void his other contracts with them. So, as crazy as it sounds, they all kind of just went for it. Volume 7. Dr. Glenn tries to earn points with Salaya's dad by convincing a vampire lord to have a festival in his territory after helping his daughter Plum murder Drac. This way, Glenn can propose to his fiancées properly and enjoy the festival everyone's been wanting. On another note, Meme opens up her own new shop selling jewelry, Plum keeps plying up, and models for Arania's clothing line. The story is kind of filler, which isn't a bad thing, but I would say the major impact is the appearance of the original Molly Vantes warning Scotty of Dr. Glenn's fate. The new character introduced is Plum Murderdrac, a vampire girl with a bat-like appearance. Even and also Soen's fiance Saki is introduced. So yeah, we definitely get her design and everything here. Volume 8. Dr. Glenn and his fiancées traveled to the east to get his parents' approval after he had ran away from home to become a doctor when he was younger. Unfortunately, his dad doesn't approve of his marriage with Arania, though, since a group of thieves are committing crimes with her family name, and it's starting to kind of affect Soen's plans to help other monsters in the east so that he can officially marry his fiancée, Saki, who is also a monster girl, and Oni. This story kind of goes into more background on Arania and more of a look into Glenn's family since all of them kind of appear here. There aren't any newer characters introduced except Glenn's parents and Aluna's daughters being introduced. There are a lot of returning characters though, like Kunai, Lulala, and Illy as well, which I haven't seen some of them for a while. And a little warning though, but there is definitely some arrow moments with Aluna's daughters especially. in a few scenes, so be on the alert for that one. Volume 9, taking place at least a year over since the first volume and at least 6 months after the previous one, Dr. Glenn was able to pay off his clinic thanks to his brother and is in a preparation for his wedding. So this book is mostly a look into Dr. Glenn's life after everything that's happened. He's gotten mature to the point where he dresses more professionally. He's able to deduce the problems of his patients much faster, and he's more assertive. Illy also has a rivalry with Plum and later puts aside her differences thanks to some of their mutual friends like Lulala and Meme. The volume is mostly filler, but the epilogue leads to the next volume. This book has a lot of good art of Glenn and Safi's new uniforms and some good poses of some of the monster girls as well. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts on volume 9. And finally, here is the story and my thoughts on Volume 10, the final novel of Monster Girl Doctor. So, following up from Volume 9's epilogue, Dr. Glenn is killed temporarily by first generation Molly Vantes as a Dulam girl, all in the grand scheming of Queen L, the monarch of the underworld, who felt threatened by his status as a doctor and to keep him all to herself. Dr. Glenn travels through the underworld alongside with Molly and Collingly, one of the lead helper fairies at his clinic. Meanwhile, as Dr. Glenn's fiancées, Safi, Salaya, and Aranya are grieving his loss, Scotty Dragonfeld, the founder of the city of Limworm, briefs them on the situation and means of reviving him, which they agree to help anyway. After some time passes, Lime, who's Glenn's former upperclassman and current nurse, also helps a second generation, the current Molly, Vance as her ancestor via being Shurgoff, assist in her resurrection. Back in the underworld, as the concept of time is faster but vague, Glenn attempts to treat Queen L, the manifestation of death itself, in an agreement to allow him to return to the living world. But feeling entitled and angered by his will to live and his eagerness to leave, Queen L tries to destroy Glenn. But before she can destroy him, Glenn is saved by the Phoenix race as a homage for saving their descendant, Illy. And thanks to them and Molly's planning, she helps Glenn return to the living world. And thanks to everyone's efforts, Glenn's soul is guided back to his body, rejoining the land of the living. Afterwards, Dr. Glenn and Dr. Safi finally get married in the end. It was a good story to end things off on. I kind of wish that there was kind of more fan service related incidents though, and more illustrations displayed like certain characters like Lime and both Molly's, since they have essential since they're essential to the plot. Safi and Salaya Aranya didn't really have much screen time either, except like the scene when they were teaming up with Glenn's loss. I like the idea of how Glenn has saved so many lives in the past to the point where Queen L had to retaliate against him, and that his accomplishments like saving Illy and Scotty did in fact pay off for him in the long run. And we finally get the long-awaited ending where the two main characters, Glenn and Safi, get married. I would say read Monster Girls Volume 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and nine's epilogue to understand the story's context though. As I mentioned, the story is a bit underwhelming, and I wish that there was more to wrap up since this is the finale. But it did do a good, it did give a good send off since it was the last time that we'll probably ever really see these characters officially. I kind of wish that they went more into Savi's family a bit more, since she's from an assassin clan, and they didn't really touch up as to well. You can probably guess why she left, obviously, because it's an assassin clan, and Savi's not about that life. Or she didn't want that life, you know. But yeah. But anyways, I can kind of tell that the author Yoshino Uraguchi wanted to focus on other characters since he kind of grew attached to like characters like Aranya and Lime and stuff. They have some great designs. I'm not gonna lie to you, and they are some pretty good characters though. But anyways, attempting to kind of make them more of like the main love interest for Glenn, and that he kind of ran out of ideas along the way. But I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but regardless though, I did enjoy the writing on all of these books, and I want to see what he has next, like what's his next project would be. And someday I'll definitely look back on like not only this, but I would definitely love to like read his previous work. Sister Succubus Does Not Confess and stuff. That's a story that he had wrote, so I'll definitely check that out. Zeton, the artist, did design some good characters and lives up to the to being an hentai artist, by the way, for sure. This isn't hentai, but he is a hentai artist though that did the art for this novel, which makes a lot of sense. But anyways, the online manga adapted the events of Volume One. The anime adapted the first three volumes. So if the anime was revived, it would probably have at least 36 to maybe 40 episodes to adapt everything, or at least like 24 to 36 episodes left to kind of adapt everything. And then I would love if they had like Volume Zero could be like a 4-part OVA or something. But I mean, but the series isn't as popular enough to really get adapted like that right now, or for the animation team to kind of commit to it and for it to be successful. So that would kind of be a waste of time too. Even though the current anime has had some good quality animation, so I'm not holding my breath that it will ever happen though. All right, so if I had to rank my favorite Monster Girl Doctor books in order, I would say coming at number 11 will be Volume 10. Coming at number 10 will be Volume 7. Coming at number 9 will be Volume 9. Coming in number 8 will be Volume 5. Coming in number 7 will be Volume 8. Coming in number 6 will be Volume 4. Coming in number 5 will be Volume 2. Coming in number 4 will be Volume 1. Coming in number 3 would be Volume 6. Coming in number 2 will be Volume 0. And then finally coming in number 1 will be Volume 3. So that's pretty much my placement as well for my favorite Monster Doctor books and stuff, and pretty much the end of my video at this point. So sorry I didn't really go into too much details about the characters. Who knows? Maybe someday I might make a separate video on that to kind of like, give you a general idea and stuff as a follow-up to this video. Maybe not. But yeah, but tell me down below what you guys think. Are you going to check out Monster Go Doctor and stuff? Like I said, it's a harem anime, so if you like stuff like Monster Mizune and stuff, I definitely recommend checking it out. If not, you might want to just keep it moving. But anyways, this is the Joning Level Fox. I am out. Peace, and until we meet again.